Hey guys, Coach Cook here. This is the beginning of the thermochemistry unit. This video is going to be on finding heat and solving for a specific heat and heat energy. And then expect a few more videos. As usual, I'm going to give you hints on the test throughout all of them. And just look for all the rest of them in the thermochemistry unit on my e-class page or my YouTube. So, starting off, here's the equation. It's Q equals MC triangle T. And a good way to remember that is Q equals MCAT because it kind of looks like an A. So first of all, we need to know what these different variables stand for. So Q is going to stand for heat energy. Okay? So just heat energy is going to be Q. M is easy to remember because this is going to stand for mass. C is going to be specific heat. And then triangle T is going to go back to your algebra, different terms, but it's actually delta T. So what that means is the change in, because delta means change in temperature. Now with this part of the equation, there's going to be a little bit of math involved before you ever plug it in. So the part of the equation for the change in temperature, you got to make sure you do the right type of math order, which is going to be T final, or temperature final, minus temperature initial. So what that means, guys, is whatever temperature the equation ends with is the one you're going to start with, and you're going to subtract the temperature that you start with to get your answer for the just delta T section of the equation. So, how do we remember how to use this? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So what I do, and what I like to focus on, is just the units. If you can remember the units, you can read the long word problems and just skip all the gobbledygook and just have the units memorized, okay? So, for the units, Q is going to equal joules. M, it's mass, so that's easy. It's going to be grams. That's what we always do in science. Specific heat's a little bit of a weird one. We haven't seen this one before, but the good news is that it's so weird that it's easy to recognize. It's going to be joules divided by grams times Celsius, okay? And then delta T, because it's the change in temperature, is going to be Celsius. Alright? Third thing you need to know before we start these problems is that, as usual, if I can break it down and make it into a triangle format, that's what I'm going to do. So instead of doing this equation and manipulating all this algebra, it's going to be really confusing. We can just use a triangle. So the triangle you're going to do is Q over MC delta T. Okay? And you guys are going to see how to use that in about 2 seconds. Alright? So make sure you have all that down, and then we're going to start some problems. Okay guys, so kind of went over the different formulas and things like that, and now we're going to do some equations so you can see how we can use the triangle, or you can do it the old school way. So for this one, I'm going to read it, and then we're going to do it the old school way, and then I'm going to switch to the triangle, which I think is the easier way to do it. Okay, I already got all the calculations done, so I got it written up here just in case, we make sure the numbers are correct. So, read it real quick. 48 grams of a metal is heated from 13 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius and absorbs 455 joules of heat. Calculate the specific heat of the unidentified metal. Okay? So, what's the first thing we hit? I said only focus on the units. So we got 40 grams. So if we're doing the equation old school way, which is Q equals MC delta T, okay? The one that has grams is going to be mass. So I'm going to put it right here. So that's going to be 40 grams. So far, so good. Okay? Then, if we have our next thing that we hit is 13 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. Well, we see Celsius and Celsius. We know it's going to be two temperatures, and it's going to be delta T. Okay? So, a little bit of math we have to do beforehand. I'm just going to do it over here. So, in language arts, when it has something at the beginning and it says to something else, this one's going to be the final, and this one's going to be the initial. So I told you over here you're going to have to do delta T is T final minus T initial. So it's going to be 40 degrees Celsius minus 13 degrees Celsius. Okay? And that's going to give you 27 degrees Celsius. So right here, I'm going to put 27 degrees Celsius. Alright? Next thing that we get to is 455 joules. Well, joules is going to go on this side for Q. We already said that joules is Q. Okay? So look, we have 1, 2, 3 different things that we have in the equation. That's all we need to solve. The only thing we don't have is C. So if you're doing it the old school way, you know you're going to have to move these over. Okay? Make a little meter. Move these over. Okay? And you're going to get 455 joules divided by 40 times 27. And that's going to equal C, which is specific heat, if you remember. Now, let's do it an easier way, okay? Instead of doing all that algebra crap, let's do this. Plug in the different spots for the triangle that we have, cover up the one that you don't have. So if I cover up this C, because that's what we're solving for, it'll tell me mathematically what I got to do. So I'm going to have to do M times delta T, and Q is going to be divided by the number that I get down at the bottom. Makes it 10 times easier. So let's do that. So I'm going to put 455 joules up top in my little triangle. Okay? I'm going to have that over 40. I don't have C, and I'm going to put 27 over here. See how that's all filled in? Awesome. So now, multiply 40 and 27. That's going to give me 1,000. I gotta make sure my number's right. 1,080 over 455. Now guys, it's really important that you don't switch Q with what's at the bottom. Always keep Q up top. So when we do that math, we're going to see that we get 0.42 as our answer once we divide these two numbers. Okay, and that's going to be joules, grams, times Celsius, because it's our number that we get for C, which is specific heat. Okay? Awesome. So, let's go to the next one. So, what mass of water will change its temp by 7 degrees Celsius when 640 joules of heat is added? Specific heat for water in this problem, we're going to use this number. Okay? It's already given to you, so you don't have to freak out about that. Alright, so first thing we get to, we can go ahead and say that we see mass. Okay, sorry, there's a bug. So, we can see that there's mass there. So that's what we're solving for. So in your head, you should be going, well, that's going to be M that I don't have over here. Or you can just keep reading and fill it in. So I go to, its change in temp is 7 degrees Celsius. Well, guys, that's awesome. You don't have to do delta T in this one. It already gives it to you. So if I'm doing my triangle format, which I think is way easier than doing it the other way, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put 7 degrees Celsius right there. Right? Awesome. Then, next thing I get to, 640 joules. Well, we know that joules is Q, so I'm going to put that up top. Then, the only other thing we have says specific heat, which we know is C, is going to be that number. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. So 4.18, okay, is the number I'm going to use. And we don't have M. That's what we're solving for. So cover up M, and what do? I'm going to have to take these two numbers and multiply, and divide Q by what's up there, down there, excuse me. So Q, bring that over, 640 joules, divided by this times this. Okay, when I do those two numbers multiplied, I'm going to get 29.26. So that's easy math, just plug in your calculator. When you do that, you're going to get 21.87. Well guys, if we're solving for M, we know that's going to be mass. So we're going to have grams as our unit. Da-da-da. Alright, one more. Okay guys, so last problem. This one is going to help us out and show us a little bit how to use a specific heat table that you're going to have to do on your test. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So we start off, and this one says 15.75 grams of an unknown substance absorbs 1,086.75 joules of heat energy, and its temp, okay, changes from 25 degrees Celsius to 175 degrees Celsius. So what metal is this? So it's not that much of a different problem, except for at the end we got to do something a little different. So let's just go through the units. No matter what it says, just use the units. So first unit we have is grams. So as normal, I'm going to use the triangle because that's the best way to do these. Okay? If I have the triangle, it's going to be M. Come back over here, see that M's on the bottom left. So that's what we're going to do. Okay? So on the bottom left, it's going to be 15.75. Okay? Then we get to the next one. It's joules, and it's going to be 1,800 and 6.75 joules up top. Then we go to the next thing. It's going to be 25 to 175. Okay. Well, once again, you got to do a little bit of math. So if it's going from this to this is the final. That's the initial. So then what we're going to have to do, guys, is we're going to do 175 minus 25. Okay. When we do that, that's going to give us 150. 150 is going to go in the spot in the triangle for delta t. So sorry, I apologize. I made that triangle a little bit tiny. So that's what it's going to be. Okay. Then you just do simple math, right? Cover up the c, and all we see is that this is going to multiply by this, and this is going to be divided by it. So when we do this problem, I'm going to write it down here a little bit bigger for y'all. What we get is 1,086.75, which is the same number of q up top, divided by 2,000 after we do the multiplication of m and delta t, 2,362.5. Okay? Do that simple math in your calculator, and what you're going to get is 0.46, and that's going to be joules divided by grams times Celsius. Okay, because that's the unit for C. So here's the part that is going to be a little bit different. So you have this number right here, but it's asking what metal is this. So on your test, they could either say, to figure out what metal is, you got to look at this chart, or they might just say, look at the chart to find C, or specific heat. They're going to give you a specific heat table. You're going to look at all these different numbers and tell me what element it is. It just needs to be a number that matches up with that. So the number that closest matches up with what I got as the answer is going to be iron. So the specific heat matches up with iron. And that's going to be our answer. Alright, so that's how you do all these. Look for more thermochemistry videos coming in this unit. And let's get ready for the test.